On today's Sherpa Review, we discuss some domains recently bought or sold, guess on prices, have a lot of fun, discuss domains at NameJet as well. But in particular, we have three very active, creative, serial entrepreneurs who come together and discuss new developments in technology, new startups that they had started right before the COVID-19 crisis, and how they're seeing the market shaped, very exciting new ventures in the domain space. And it's 2 hours long. It's fascinating beginning to end. Enjoy the show. Hey, Sherpa Network, thanks for joining us. We are already in quite the feisty mood for a great Sherpa review panel. Delighted to have the three of you with me today. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com. Today, we're going to get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We'll do our 3 segments to the review, but we're still fooling around with that third section. We'll start off learning what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Next, we'll discuss some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment opportunity for you. And finally, we're going to talk, these guys have some crazy things going on. Sounds like a lot of new business and new developments in this particular climate. And I think I don't want to say too much. So let's do this. Mike Carson, founder of Park.io. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on the show. Things are going good.
Yeah, no funky family portrait background today. We kind of missed that.
No, I got to get a new one because I have a daughter now, and my son's grown up, so we got to get a new family portrait.
Oh, well, congrats.
I'm feeling the cuckoo clock though.
What's that?
I'm feeling the cuckoo clock or grandfather clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it going to go off during the show?
No, it's off. It's off.
I want to see like birds coming out and all that. Maybe.
Maybe.
Mark Levine of DomainTheory.com. How you doing, Mark?
That's awesome. It seems like our little dinner at NamesCon was like 10 years ago.
I know, it was forever, but it was not a little dinner. That was a spectacular meal. Drew.
And, I should talk about Drew's, the one at Drew's house. That was like
you were number one fan.
Yes, I was the number one fan. It was one of the highlights.
And I take that, I really take that to heart because I know that you are quite the sushi critic. So
it was amazing.
Okay, wait. Everybody listening doesn't know what you're talking about, and we just mixed 2 NamesCons together. So in January, the NamesCon in Austin, Texas, Mark and I had a spectacular foodie dinner. And then in last summer in Portugal, Drew hosted at the NamesCon there. Well, I don't know, before the NamesCon there, Drew hosted a private party in his home with, that sushi was like 5 minutes ago in the ocean. What, give me like a quick something.
No, well, our sushi chef was, he's a spear fisherman. So like literally he caught, not all of it, but a lot of that fish he caught himself. And then, served it up right there on the spot, fresh. It was great. He does an amazing job. He's outstanding. And I think he had literally, it was the most bluefin toro I've ever seen in my life. He came with a giant, those tubs full of just loins of bluefin toro, fatty belly with blowtorch. Oh, it was good.
Yeah, you rarely get the opportunity for all-you-can-eat sushi that is actually the best sushi you could ever have in the world. Those two things don't happen.
Yeah,
and there was enough sushi to do that party 3 times. And I was worried. I was like, I don't know if we're gonna have enough. And then it turned out to be 3 times too much. Anyways.
Who are you? Andrew Rosener, CEO
Good
of...
old days when people came together.
Yeah, remember when?
Yeah. Like, I feel like my grandfather, like, oh, you guys, you know, you kiddos, you don't remember the days. We used to walk to work, you know, we used to walk to school with hot potatoes in our pockets.
Clearly your kids aren't as old as mine, because I literally say that stuff to my kids all the time, like explaining how you used to have to like write down directions, like what a map is. I mean, you feel really old really fast. So Andrew Rosener, CEO of MediaOptions.com. I literally gave Mike and Mark homework if they hadn't read your DNJournal article. I think they have now. You had some really interesting things to say. Any comments before we get started?
Not really. I mean, I think it was timely because Ron reached out to me really at a moment when I was thinking about all this stuff and trying to make sense of it in my own head. So he got the benefit of me expunging all my thoughts onto an email to him. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely would encourage anybody to read the thoughts from everybody. There was a lot of great thoughts. I guess my summary or takeaway from Ron Jackson's entire article, not necessarily just my thoughts, was that I think it was unbelievably, like freakishly interesting. That I believe there was like at least 3, maybe even 4 folks who had, I think there was like 12 brokers who contributed to the article. And I think 3 or even 4 of them, including myself, all said nearly the same thing, but with so much specificity, in the sense that literally everybody said first week of May was like best sales ever, right? Or best sales of the year. And which is what we experienced, and it was clear. Sato, I believe, said the same thing, and then I don't remember who else, but there was at least 3 and maybe 1 more who all said that it was early May was just an explosion of sales. And so I thought that was very interesting that really everybody just kind of had pretty similar observations, and sort of a relatively similar outlook. Now, I am by nature exceptionally contrarian, to almost to a fail, because I sometimes become contrarian to my own contrarian views, and then I forget which part was mainstream and which became contrarian.
I think this is where the cuckoo clock should go off.
Yeah, but so my point here is that, like, when everybody has a sort of similar consensus view, it kind of sets off alarm bells for me, and I go, oh shit, it's probably the opposite that's going to happen. But I can't say that I've ever seen that. Like other than like in 2015 when things were just popping off, like it was just like you literally you just made up domains and then they sold for real money. Meaning like 6number.com, 7number.com. It was just like make up hand-wrench domains, and then like weeks later they're worth hundreds of dollars. That was a phenomenon. But other than that time period, I don't think I've ever seen such a unanimous consensus in the industry for what's happening now and what they see going forward. So that is both comforting and alarming, and I haven't decided which camp I fall into yet.
Something to be curious and maybe dig a little deeper about. Interesting. Mm-hmm. All right, Sherpas, thanks for being here. I know you had packed schedules today, but very grateful that you're here. Let's do this. So, Mark, you sounded super excited about some things you've had going on with your domain portfolio. What's a domain you've recently bought or sold?
I recently sold supdoc, supdoc.com. Like the Bugs Bunny.
Supdoc?
Oh, okay. Supdoc. Oh.
Can anybody do the imitation, the voice?
No.
No.
I think Mark can. I see Mark can do it. He just
I
kind
honestly cannot. I feel
went down
like
at
it's
the last second.
Subduck, but I know that's not correct. Because I feel like maybe Bugs Bunny says it. I mean, I'm not even sure if it's Bugs Bunny or Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny.
But I spent a couple dollars on that name. It wasn't, my usual closeout stuff.
I have so many questions about this. But first, so you sold it.
I sold it.
Drew,
it was an amazing day to go into this weekend. I mean, usually when I sell a name, I always take myself out for a really expensive dinner. That now kind of sucks, but now I get really expensive takeout to make up for it. So I did that, but it was just a great way to go into the weekend. And, it was well, I won't say anything until you guys guess anything about it.
Okay. Guess what it sold for?
Who's guessing?
Doc.
Open your mouth.
I'll go first. I'm going to go with 18 grand.
Is that based on his dinner or based on?
Well, it's based on that he normally sells domains for like 3 to 5 grand, but.
Are you living in my head? Yes.
But there's like a lot of there's feelings around this one. He's excited about this one. This isn't like.
Yeah,
so I'm going bigger.
This show is the.
I might be going too big, but.
Yeah. All right.
No, don't. Mike's got a guess still.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking similar things like, what just based on what I know about Mark, what he tries to buy for and sell for. But yeah, I like that name, and I could see some use cases for that and the companies that might be interested. But at first I was thinking 10K, but then I was like, well, maybe 15K, but then Drew said 18K. I don't know. I'll go with 15K.
All right, Mike Carson, trust your gut. Drew, thank you I was a level of excited that would have indicated 18 grand, but I sold it for 9,800, but I bought it 18 months ago for 790 at GoDaddy auctions. And I actually, sometimes if I get inquiries on, this is one I would have repriced, but I price them and I don't usually go back. But for me, it was a total, I thought telemedicine. I thought some kind of, catchy telemedicine, you don't.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
You thought telemedicine back when you bought it 18 months ago? Or
yes.
You thought telemedicine and because of the crisis and then went back and repriced?
I was about, I had just, every couple of days I go through and look at my analytics from FD and from Dan, and I saw that it was getting some views. And so, I have about 2,800 names, 2,700 names now. So it's hard to remember, what's in there. But then I was like, God, with everything going on, I should go back and reprice this. And then, I kind of moved on to something else. And the next day I got the fast transfer after Nick and it was gone. But it was a great name. I loved it. But here in Minneapolis, we had a thing, I don't even know if it's around anymore, but it was called VirtuWell, where it was the same thing. You call in, you have the medicine, the visit with the doctor. All the insurance companies had been promoting that for a long time as a way to, do a remote visit if you just have a cold, whatever. So that's what made me think of it. And I thought the whole Bugs Bunny kind of thing had some fun play on it. I would have repriced it at around 15, but I bought it for 790 and sold it for 9,800. And even with the commission out, it's a nice 10x
It's a
return.
10 bagger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to think about it again after the show, other than, tell my random friends who don't know anything about domains.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. It's great, and it really helped for me, push my month really pretty good. I mean, I could eclipse my best one ever, which was January of 2019.
January 2019. That was also
my best ever.
a very good month. That was also a very good
really
month.
strong.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like crazy. They were going one after another.
This year was better though. January 2020 was.
For you?
Yeah, that was our best month in the history of the company.
For me, January was fair. February was fair. March, I thought I'll never sell another name again, and I'm terrible at picking names, and I should stop and never think about it again. April was pretty good. And now May, I'm like, oh, I am good at this. Now I'm, when you sell a name like that, you're right back in the auction, buying whatever.
And that's really significant, Mark, too, because, what Drew was talking about earlier of all the brokers on DNJournal, but those are in the most premium top 2% of domain names out there. And you're working with a different group of domains and you're seeing, sounds like kind of the same thing.
Yes, I'm in the 2 to 6, 7 range, like that. And a lot of guys who I'm pretty good friends with who have large portfolios they're doing that, but on mass quantities, they're reporting the same kind of thing. So all their March, they took a hit, 20, 30% down, but April came right back. And, I think they're all doing, quite well. And I felt like I was the one lagging behind, but.
Okay, I have 2 questions about SupDoc. On the one hand, is there a trademark issue? Like, I know none of them are lawyers, but that's got to be because people listening are trying to decide what they're going to invest on. So let's touch on that for a second. And then also, where do you draw the line between like telemedicine is serious and SupDoc is silly? How do you gauge that? And what would you recommend to newer investors who are like, oh, I'm going to go buy 20 comedic medicine names?
So can I intervene for 1 second though?
This is a question to all 3 of you.
All right. Who's going to go first?
Clearly Drew.
All right.
I didn't even actually think about telemedicine until you said telemedicine. When you said SupDoc, first I thought Bugs Bunny, and then I actually thought about the SUPs, SUP like a
stand-up paddleboard. I also thought that.
So that's what I was like, oh, so stand-up paddleboard repair company or something like that. That's what came to my mind.
I thought about eating and like a nutritionist, a food doctor advisor or something.
Well, I think you just answered the trademark question.
Who did buy it?
I don't know. There is an IO that is doing it for telemedicine. They're actually from Minnesota, I think. And they tried to buy it earlier. I really don't think it's them. I think if you're doing a telemedicine and you don't have an About Us on your site, you
got a problem.
You're probably, I think obviously, they could have got funding, a lot of things could be happening now. But I think
there is July 2019, there's a Medic LLC.
Yes, from Minneapolis. Yeah, but I owned it in October of 18, so that didn't bother. That I had no trademark.
Oh yeah. No. You're hey, look, you're free and clear at this point. But if they spent the money to get a trademark, maybe it is them.
Yeah, maybe. It's a great name. I hope it is them, and I hope they put it. I love to see my names put to good use. I think that makes me feel great when I know that happens, and I'm happy, and they're happy, and that's really what it should be about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think.
But I do think that answers your question. The first, we all thought different things. So, yes, if you did it and probably put up a page with Warner Brothers cartoons, you'd have an issue. Even though I don't think they even have a trademark, but I think you'd still have an issue. But if you do it for something else, I think it'd be a harder case for them to press and win.
Yeah.
So it did not worry me because I could think of a couple uses, and if I was ever worried, I would not even spend $800 to buy it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What did you get for dinner?
I got we do have one. We have several great sushi restaurants here, actually, and the best one in town, which is about 45 minutes from my house, it's like a day trip. You know, I don't want to go that far. But now they opened up in St. Paul, which is only like a 15-minute ride, and obviously now there's no traffic, so I don't mind driving. So I went there. I mean, got some eel sashimi, salmon sashimi that's maybe like this big. Some great rolls. The sushi rice is amazing. I mean, it's the best place in the Twin Cities that you can get sushi, and they now happen to be closer to my house. And I've been there 3 times since. I mean, I'm still celebrating this one.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you can't go out to a restaurant, you should extra celebrate. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Who's next? Mike, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Okay, I sold Slim.ai.
Oh, changing it up with a .ai.
Slim Shady. All right. Mark, you want to go or you want me to go?
I've had a few AI sales in the last few years, so I'm going to say 8,500.
I have never had an AI sale. I think I only own one, maybe 2. They're probably in your registrar. I don't even know where I would own them. Tess, where would we own it?
101 domains.
We would own .ais at park.io. I would think, but
at this guy's registrar. I don't know. Slim.ai. I mean, I'm gonna say $5,000. I'm gonna say 10. I'm gonna go over Mark's head because you always just come up with these freaking. It's like, yeah, you know, guy came in, I sold for $500,000. Yeah. I don't really know what it's worth, but so yeah, I might say 10, and you're probably gonna be like, yeah, it's 50 or something.
Okay, so you guys ready? No, it's not. Yeah, you guys are close. It was 7,500. Sold it for 7,500. So
congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, I asked 10K, and they were like 5K, and then we met in the middle. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. I probably, you know, you could. Yeah, I know. I probably could have.
Never meet in the middle. That's lazy. That's just lazy.
I know it probably is lazy, but I don't know. I maybe I should have asked more. That's where I should have started. I started like 20K. I want 20K, and then met them close. But whatever.
Why did you start at 10?
Well, I bought it for $270 like a year ago. I bought it for a year ago for $270. So
I mean, that's probably why.
10 seems like a good place to start. Yeah.
So yeah.
And you don't want to scare them off, and you know they have other options with .ai. Well,
yeah, and maybe, you know, like the times, like the coronavirus thing and stuff like that.
Was that this month in May?
I think it was. It might have been this month or end of last month.
Okay.
But yeah, I got it on auction.whois.ai. So the .ai registry auctions off their expired domains. And they actually license Park.io software for that. So they use.
Yeah, except that there's no way to like search on their platform, and there's a way to search on yours.
There's a, yeah, maybe. Well, the way
I was messing around with that on Friday, and I was like, I can't search. This is horrible. I have to go page by page through worthless domains to try and find a needle in the haystack. And then I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not even going to bother.
Well, you know, they do it differently. What they do is they auction every name. So every name that expires, it goes to an auction. So you don't like order it or anything like that. Everything's in a 10-day auction. So yeah, it's a little different, but yeah, search function would probably be nice because there are a lot of names.
Garbage. It's just
But
do you have a system for how you go on there and make decisions?
I mean, I look through every name and just add them to my watch list for the ones that look good. I mean, another system that you can do is go on there when the auctions end Monday, you know, and look at all the ones that have bids because those will be the good ones. I mean, that's what I would, that's another stretch. That's probably
So all the auctions end on Mondays. What time? Do you know?
Yeah, so they go once a month. I think they start the last Friday of every month, and then they go to the first or second Monday, the second Monday of every month. The dates are on there if you see them. But so yeah, so next Monday the auctions are going to end. So yeah, I would go on there before noon and Gila time and just look at all the ones that have bids and then bid there. But yeah, they've been going.
It sucks. You have to like pre-fund your account.
Yeah, because they've had some problems with not payments and stuff. But yeah, like Think.ai sold last.
But if you're the registrar, the registry, I've never understood that. It's like, who cares about chargebacks if you're the registry? You just take the name back.
Yeah, but I guess you know
you know what I mean? Like you have full control. It's like
well, the auction system
thing.
Then the auction system loses integrity. You know, it's like, is that name really? You know, it's like if a lot of names don't sell, I think they want to make sure that the names are actually selling. People are actually paying and stuff.
Mike, what were you?
I can tell you though, I bet the farm that it's the wrong line of thinking, that preventing people like me, like I'm like, you know what, I still want to bother. Like, first of all, like you're in freaking Anguilla and I don't know who the hell you are. And like your software sucks. No offense to Park.io. It's not a full implementation of the Park.io software. Clearly, I played with it for hours. It's not. So like, I don't know, like just take my goddamn credit card, because if you don't, I'm not going to bid. And if I'm not going to bid, I'm not the only one. So you're definitely losing a ton of business. Like, you know, I don't know. And again, I'm not criticizing you. This isn't your business. I'm just saying the Anguilla folks, like you, I have a credit card on file and I bid and I win and it gets charged and I pay. But doesn't make any sense. As the registry, you don't have to worry about chargebacks, period. End of story. Like, it's just a crazy thing. And the fact that, like, I get what you're saying about like consistency with the auctions and fear about fraud. I totally understand that. You know, I mean, GoDaddy still has that problem. However, I actually, despite popular belief, I think GoDaddy's made the right decision, because I think tightening it down just disrupts the market. It makes it not it disrupts price discovery.
It makes it harder to get in. But I mean okay, so that's good for investors though, because if you get in, if you can jump through the hoops, then you can get the names for less. You know, like, because there's so many hoops. That's why, like, that's why I think it's a good system for domain investors to buy .ai domains, because you could, you know, if you figure it out and jump through, you know, the hoops, it's a little harder. Yeah, it's a little harder. But then
this is my argument for Bitcoin to people too, is that everybody's like, oh, but it's so late. And I'm like, you know how hard it is to actually like buy Bitcoin? Like if you don't own a bit, you don't have a Coinbase account yet. Like, let's just say you're like just heard about Bitcoin today and you're like, you know, all right, fine, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna go buy some Bitcoin. Like, it is a royal pain in the butt to try and buy Bitcoin. Like, unless you like know somebody that owns it and is like, here, I'm gonna give you cash, you're gonna give me Bitcoin. But like, to go through the process, through the systems, to get an account, KYC, the payment process, like to learn alone, like the on-ramp is so riddled with hurdles that like that is clearly priced in. And so that's why, to me, it's like so obvious that it's such an early market. But same concept as what you're saying, is that those pain points create opportunities for people willing to suffer pain.
Well, along the same lines that you're talking about is like, yeah, technology moves fast and people are like, oh, it's too late for that. But like, look at me and Mark. Okay. We got into domains so late, like way after, like people like, you know, like 25 years, like 30 years. Yeah, I know. And it's like, it's not too late even then. So like, think about Bitcoin in 20 years, it still won't be too late probably. Like there's still going to be business opportunities and stuff. So things move fast, but they move slow at the same time.
profound today. All right, Drew, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Right, I'm gonna do a buy and a sell because I never talk about sales. But this one really, I was like, whoa, came out of nowhere. All right, talk about the buy first. I bought, what did I buy? I bought Mangrove.com.
Mangrove.com, like what made you, oh, sorry, I can't ask questions yet. All right, guys, what do you think you bought it for?
Mark can go for it.
I mean, well, I mean, it's like, okay, I know Drew, he's paid way more than I would pay for a name. And it's probably really, I'm going to say you bought it for 15 grand.
What is Mangrove?
Okay, that you can have. Drew, give him a quickie on what a mangrove is.
Okay.
I also don't know.
It's an ecosystem. It's several things. So the mangrove is actually a type of shrub or even tree, I think, but it grows in wetland. It grows like really usually on the beach, like where the ocean, saltwater environments, where the ocean meets the land. And the mangrove creates, because it's this crazy, it's almost like vines, the way it grows. And it creates an ecosystem. So it's like, where crocodiles live, where tons of different species of fish, where, virtually every animal comes to like lay its eggs because it's sort of a protected environment. So mangroves are also the most important thing for erosion, for preventing erosion. So usually where erosion happens is where people come in and dig up mangrove to clear a beach so they can build real estate or do whatever, and then piece by piece you start getting erosion. So mangrove is, first and foremost, it is a tree or a plant. Shane can tell us one way or the other. And then secondly, it's an ecosystem.
So it's green, it's eco-friendly, and it's, I hear, like community network togetherness, not just an individual thing. Mark, do you want to change your price?
Hang on, I want to just look at one thing while Mike is guessing.
Okay.
I am texting Shane to ask him. What is the question?
No,
I'm a what or a what?
I am going
a
to...
A plant or a tree? Or a shrub?
Okay, actually...
Shrub is separate from that.
I think I have to change my price. I'm gonna... well, I do know Drew buys stuff good, and sometimes the people who he buys from don't know the value. Can I change it?
Absolutely. You didn't know what a mangrove is.
Well, now that it's explained, I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 22.5.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's a nice brand. It's a positive, plant and prevents erosion. Hey, that sounds like that's a nice, but yeah, I didn't know what it was. So it's not as well known as some other plants or shrubs. But yeah, I think Mark's probably right. I was thinking 20, 25. So yeah, and he got right in the middle there. I'm gonna, Drew is good. Yeah, he can find some, I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna say 20.
All right, so you're both wrong. And I think even before this call, I already felt that I overpaid. But I also, it was one of those names I just said, I had to have it. And that was the price. There wasn't any, this was like original registrant in the Netherlands. It's been a design agency for a long time. The domain actually has quite a bit of SEO value. And they literally just rebranded. And, it was opportune. I definitely wanted to own it at like 25. That was the number I was really shooting for. And it took me a few weeks to get my head around paying 45. But ultimately, I just, for all the reasons previously mentioned, I love it. I think fits right into the gap that I want to fill in terms of, high-end domain inventory, where I see, I think there will be a lot of demand going forward. And so, and it just has multiple applications in varying industries that I think will be benefiting from the new world. So yeah, I overpaid, I think, but I also think that it's a really good brand.
And that's an important
I also think that it's like could be a play on words and could be like a really good what do you call that? Like a men's grooming type of site, like Mangrove. Like I think it'd be a really good, like,
I knew the minute you said this domain that we'd be going there.
I mean, I actually don't think I'm just looking at, I'm on Dofo right now, and I'm looking at some of the other extensions that it's being sold. Like the .co, they're trying to get 15 grand, the .cn, 17,000. So even though those are retail, Dofo.com.
I don't know that one. DOFO.com.
Yeah, it's a great site.
What do you use it for?
I use it for, if I'm not really for .coms, but if I'm buying an AI or an IO or whatever, I want to just see what other extensions the name is taken in. I want to get a snapshot of what people are selling for retail. I mean, I don't take, you're selling the .xyz for 3,500. That doesn't make me feel great. Doesn't make me feel either way about the name, but it's a data point. You get a snapshot of what people are paying. I mean, what people are asking, and
okay.
So that's what I use it for.
Okay.
I think that's actually a really good point. Like, don't necessarily attach hitch your cart to any one, data point horse, but cumulatively, all these things start to paint a pretty clear picture. When Dofo and Estabot and Google and SEMrush and Ahrefs and all these things start pointing you down the road of, ooh, this could be good, and Crunchbase and LinkedIn, and it's like, okay, this thing's got legs. But don't necessarily make decisions based on any single data point.
Good advice. And again, even though you paid a little more, you're looking at your larger strategy for your portfolio. And that's really important for everyone to recognize. You have to identify the strategy for your portfolio before.
Which by the way, may or may not be a good idea.
Drew, do you have any names that you're like, I'm never selling? Like, there's no price. Or does everyone have a price?
So never selling because there won't be demand, or never selling?
No, just because you like, it's just like you love it. Like it would be hard to part with it.
Every name has a price. There are a few that would be very difficult for me to sell. Drew.com would be very difficult to sell. I've turned down already some very significant offers. What's that schmuck? Who's the Canadian little millennial pop boy?
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. There he is. Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's got a whole clothing company called Drew, and his domain is like House of Drew or something, and that's not even the brand. The brand isn't House of Drew. The brand is just Drew. But we've been approached by them a couple times, and I told them where to go. What else? I really love Pegasus.com. Pegasus.com. It has a price. I mean, I quoted it. I quote it often, but probably it's a outlandish. I don't know. I think that domain is worth like $100 million. But
I think I actually reached out in January about Pegasus.com.
Really?
Yeah. Because for some reason it was listed on SETA, like, I forget, like it was really low or something. Like I don't know what it was. Maybe like the beginning opening offer or something was low. It was a very low price. So I reached out, but then yeah, I guess you responded and you were like, yeah, huge offer. So I passed.
Funny.
All right. What did you recently sell that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, very proud of this sale. Nippleclamps.com.
Is this for real?
Yeah, dead serious. Dead serious. This is why I'm so happy about this sale. It was like a buy it now on Friday. And hold on, let me just double check. I'm pretty sure they paid. Hold on.
Mark, I just want to loop your response. Is this for real? Is this for real?
I mean, I buy names, I have some names that, I would never tell anyone that I own. So I get it. And I own, some, not at that level, but in the political world, I own some at that level. I own.
Oh yeah, this is done, baby. This one cleared.
All right.
Wow. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, literally, there's not much to it. I didn't even actually know. I didn't even know we own this domain name. Like literally, I mean, we own some pretty crazy names that I'm not really embarrassed about. It doesn't. But this was just one that wasn't on my radar at all. But it sold.
All right, guys, guess how much?
I'm going to say it sold for $17,000.
Nipple clamps. What are nipple clamps?
I can imagine what they are, but I'm not, I'm not versed.
Come on.
It's like a sex toy?
You all know what they are.
It's a sex toy.
We're not talking about if you went to someone you're like, I need
toy.
a jump for my car, and they put the thing on there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm picturing. It's like that. It's just
okay.
There is
jumper cables for.
I know more about
jumper cables
than the three of
jumper cables for your sex life.
Nippleclamps.com.
I'm also a branding specialist.
Yeah, telemedicine is not the only industry doing very well during quarantine.
Okay, I'll say 20K.
No, okay. So I didn't do that well. I mean, if I'd done that well, I would have put it first. So we sold it for $4,200, which I literally just didn't even think was serious. When I got the inquiry, it was on Afternic, and I didn't even think it was serious, and it was Friday afternoon, and it literally was 4:20, and I was partaking in 420 activities, and I priced it at 420, 4,200, and they just clicked buy it now, and that's it. They took it, done, sold. Bought it for $50 a while ago, long time ago. So yeah, I was pretty happy. That was a nippleclamps.com, $4,200. I don't know. What do you think? Undersold?
No.
Well, you guessed 12, he guessed 20.
No, but I only guessed 12. I mean, I only guessed that because it was you. If it was somebody else, I would have guessed in the range that I thought it would have sold for. And I buy sometimes names like that too, just because it's like, you never know when you might want to use that email address for something funny. And so for $50, it's totally, even just to tell people you own it is worth $50.
Totally. I buy names just because I think it'll be a funny email address all the time.
I do too.
Too often, actually.
So, yeah, I only guessed that high because it was you. I just didn't think you'd ever report anything that, in regular person world, like where I live.
No, I mean, I don't, I'm not, what's the word? I'm not an elitist domainer. I don't mind.
No, not at all. I agree. You're not totally not.
Well, congratulations. That's a great sale. What did you do over the weekend to celebrate?
Well, I will say that will probably shock many people is I actually broke quarantining and social distancing for the first time since February 4th. So that was a long run. That was almost 4 months. So 5 months, 4 months, something like that. So yeah, that's it. But we had some folks over, a couple over for dinner and swim in the pool. They've got a son, same as my son's age. Actually, they're best friends, so it was good.
That's really
and the weather's beautiful right now.
That's really good. Good for you. Hey, I'm checking. No answer from Shane yet. I know we could Google it, but it's way more fun to hear from Shane. Also, by the way, we do own 2.ai domains. Do you want me to say what they are?
Sure.
Fix.ai and Meg, the girl's name, Meg.ai.
Yeah, and Meg.ai, I only bought that one because I happened to notice it when it expired on Park.io, and we own it Meg.com, so I said, all right, I'm going to buy that .ai just to go with it.
Oh, yeah. I own some good ones. I only own like 10 or 12, and I've sold 2 or 3 for good prices.
That's a good percentage.
Yeah, no, but they're impossible to get good one-word ones now, just like, I mean, it's like anything else.
Yeah. All right, guys. Congrats on your sales.
Thanks.
Let's take a second to tell you about our advertisers for today's show who support us in our mission to educate folks in the domain industry.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
So, time for the marketplace list. This segment is brought to you by NameJet.com. So we're reviewing domain names heading to auction soon. You do have to look at them now because if you don't, you can't see them later. So Mike, you're up first. What stands out to you on this list?
Can I just circle back to Mark's question real quick? Because I literally just pulled up our list. I was like, I know there's other names that would be on that list of like names I really don't want to sell. And probably other than Drew.com, number one would be Shaman.com. Shaman.com is a name I really have no intention to ever sell that domain name. And I have a business that I want to build on that. And then probably, I think the only other one is Swan.com. I would sell it, but I'd probably price that higher than most people would ever pay.
What about you, Mark?
Your super long holds.
Oh, ones that I would not want to sell. Well, I'm with Drew. I mean, I'd sell everything. I mean, MarkLevine.com, I would sell.
So I would totally sell AndrewRosener.com, but I'm not sure about Drew.com.
I mean, I don't have any good one-word ones anymore. I mean, those, when I sold my publishing company, most of those went, and Drew sold my last one a year after that. So I don't own any of those anymore, but I own WholeStory.com, which I've gotten tons of offers on. Whole Foods uses it. It's been a contender it was a contender for the name of my new company when we were doing it. It's super versatile. It doesn't have a huge price on it by, someone says here's 25 or 30 or, they get it. PublicEye.com. Again, I still own. Drew that was the first time I ever talked to Drew, was about, we talked about something else, but then I told him I bought it and he was like, oh, you only paid that much? That was a great buy. And I was like, oh, I felt, that was probably like 8 years ago we talked on that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time
that
ago.
I still think that's
a great name.
Now more than ever, with like ubiquitous public surveillance. I mean, Public Eye is like almost a scary domain. It's like,
Yeah. And, I built out a few other sites. I own some trademarks on it. So it's a valuable little piece of, At one time, we were going to use that as something for my publishing company for a PR site. And then we ended up, the name was too good, so we just called it Public Eye something else. And I own a few, I mean, I have to go look at my list, but I'm on my Surface Pro and it's too small to talk to you guys and to look at my list.
Yeah.
With 53-year-old eyes.
You know, Mark, how do you gauge when a domain is too good for a new venture, for a brand?
Well, in this case, you know, I own tons of great publishing related names. And so for the venture we have now is drop cap. And if you know what a drop cap is the big letter, the first letter in a paragraph when you read you know, it's in a lot of books, you know, it's a typesetting thing. And I only knew what it was from being in publishing. But there were a lot of publishing startups that were using pronoun.com, all those kind of names were being used. And so when I saw that at auction a couple, maybe 2 years ago, I knew I was going to own it. And I knew that some publishing tech company was going to buy that from me someday. And I was, you know, I was going to set it at 10, 15 grand and I would just wait because I loved the name. But then when we started, I loved it so much and it's so versatile. And for, you know, it just was a natural fit. And so I was hoping my partners would pick them. And I just actually threw it in as part of it because I wanted to use the name myself and this was the best use. But I submitted my partners a list of a bunch of names that I owned that I was willing to put in. So whole story was like, if you guys love it, we can work something out. But the reason it didn't work was because story is too much related to fiction. So a lot of the books and a lot of the rights that we do for publishers are nonfiction, they are kids' books, but it was too narrow, we thought. So that's why it didn't make it. But, you know, again, in this case, I love DropCap. I envisioned my own company as the buyer, even though I bought it before we ever had the idea. And so that's, you know, that's why. But
how do you price domains when you're your own buyer with your partner?
When what?
When you're saying, like, you imagine your company as the ideal buyer, and you did that here. How do you work out the pricing for that?
Oh, well, at the time, this company idea didn't even exist when I bought the name. I just thought, like, I'm going to sell it to a company, and I imagine somebody doing, you know, something in the publishing tech space. So in this case, it was just, I only bought it for $600. And so I thought, I loved it so much and I thought it would be great for us. And so if in some case like that with a name that I pay kind of that price for and I want to use it, I'm just putting it in as part of my contribution.
So is it a line item financially or not?
Not in this case. I just kind of bundled it into what my entire contribution because I want to use it so much. And you know, it's a weird thing. Like when you're in with your partners, I'm not trying to profit off names that I bought, but I own great names for stuff that we're going to be doing. So like if they would have wanted a name like Whole Story or something else, then we would have said, okay, you know, the company owes me X amount of dollars. And if, you know, the company doesn't work or, you know, something like that where it would either pay me or I would have some kind of not a lien against it, but you know, where I would have some security interest in it until it got paid or something like that. But, you know, you can't really charge your partners in a startup a big, you know, it's too weird. It's a line that I always draw. But I had good names and I was like, you know, we're not going to find better names than this in the budget that we have. So, and we wouldn't have paid we didn't have 15 grand at the beginning of this to spend. You know, we'd raised some friends and family money, but I mean, you can't say, hey, friends and family, put money in, and then we're going to take your money and use it to buy my domain. You know, that's not cool.
No, but I didn't know if it was like an ownership percentage or something, you know, but this makes sense. And especially, I think this is great because Mark, you know, there aren't many serial entrepreneurs like you who also understand domains well. And I think that it's good to, sorry for my dog. I think it's good to just to hear how you do it. So anybody listening can.
To be in a certain industry and be one of the only domainers who's also in that industry allows me, I mean, you know, I've owned some of the greatest publishing names. I mean, I've used them. You know, I bought bookprinting.com in 2012, and we had a book printing, you know, we had like a, you know, just a book printing site where we just took the stuff and farmed out the work. And we were calling it Book Printing Revolution. And the minute I got book printing and put it on there, I mean, the traffic went up. We were able to cut the ads. I mean, it's so much authority. You know, if you're searching and you see, you know, jacksbookprinting.com or bookprinting.com, and, you know, people's books, they take that seriously. You know, they're not just giving the book to anyone to touch, to, you know, to print, to, you know, whatever. So, you know, it's a huge advantage. And I have a lot of that space and a lot of those keywords to myself. And I've been to these international book fairs. I've already seen 4 companies where I'm walking by their booth and I'm like, you know, that name looks familiar. I'm pretty sure I sold it to you. And I look it up, and so, you know, it just gives me a good feel for, you know, just, it's my wheelhouse.
That's really cool. Yeah, good for you. Nice.
Yeah, that one time my wife sent me a link, like some article about raising kids, and it was mother.ly, motherly, and I was like, oh, that we sold that on Park.io.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Can I just tell this one story? This is an amazing story. Well, I think it's amazing. I was in New York visiting my nephew, who goes to NYU, and I was like, you know, I'll take you anywhere you want to eat. Like, take me to your favorite place. He's like, I love, you know, there's this pho place I love. And so we went there, and it was called Pho Bar, Phobar. And I walked in, I was like, I sold you your name. And I took a picture with the guy, and, you know, I showed him the email. I talked, you know, we had gone back and forth. You know, it's exciting. I love it. It's the best.
Yeah, it is.
That's super really cool. You know, there's a pho place right down the street from me. Unfortunately, I don't know why, they just went out of business, but their name is the Pho King Kitchen. No joke.
Nice.
Anyway, what are we here to do? We're talking about NameJet.
I bought faux.com on DN Forum, you know, 10 years ago. And then the guy backed out. I don't remember who owned it. And then they backed out, and then it was a fight. And then, I don't know, I didn't end up with a name. I remember that. And then I think it sold on Bido. You guys remember Bido? Bido was this, didn't last long. I think it's still active, like it's still live. I checked it.
We're rabbit holing. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
NameJet.
Okay.
NameJet. Who are you talking to? Mike Carson.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Bido is still live though. Like I haven't heard the name Bido for like really like a decade, but it's still live. There's like auctions here with buy it now names. Hand sanitizer 24, $49. Buy it now. I wonder if that's real.
So
anyways, okay.
Mike,
so,
I'm on you.
I think these are, a lot of, maybe all these names are like, they, like Online.university, Strippergram. That seems like a good one. My.domains. These are all, I like these new GTLDs, but like the question is like, how much does it cost to renew and stuff like that? So you'd have to look into that. But yeah, like, fake news, another one, I guess. Yeah, like a lot of these new GTLDs look good to me, and I don't usually like them, but I think because I've been looking at more TLDs Well, I'll get into it later when we talk about Handshake, but like some of these other names are looking good. But yeah, like InDesign, I think that's a really good brand for like a design company, something like that. Big
Mike, what do
Baby.
you think is a reasonable price for some of these, like Online.university, Fake.news? What do you think in terms of pricing?
Well, it depends on. I mean, if it's a regular, if the domain
I
costs less.
believe these are regular renewals. I'm not sure. I mean, so these are registry reserved domains that NameJet is auctioning, but I believe they're regular renewal prices. I'm not sure, but.
So like under $100 a year, something like that. Okay. Well, if it's like that, yeah, Online.university. I mean, I mean, what would I buy it for? I'm not really buying things like that now, but I guess, I mean, if you could get it under, a couple thousand, I think would be good. Or yeah, like Fake.news. I mean, Fake.news, that seems like a really good one. If you could get it under 10,000 maybe. But yeah, for InDesign, I mean, I feel like I'm not a good person to ask because I haven't been looking at like the cost of like these domains lately. But like for me personally, if I to buy InDesign, I would pay $5K for it. I'd pay $5K or less probably for that. Or, so yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps somebody.
Yeah. All right. What else? Anything else jump out to you there that you want to talk about?
I know a guy is a good one. That's a good for like a recommendation or like, yeah, like a handyman type of thing, maybe service, something like that. I like that one. Big Baby. I don't know what that would be used for. Plus size toddlers clothing might be a good one for that.
I don't think our parents would feel too good about that.
Plus size toddler.
Yeah, you're like,
if I didn't know you had kids, I'd be like, yeah, he doesn't have kids.
oh, you're like, where'd you get your kid's outfit? Oh, bigbaby.com.
I think it'd be awesome. Okay. Never mind.
Mike, I think you should I'll buy Park.io for $1. You can go launch Big Baby. And, you got to corner the market on plus size toddler clothing.
Yeah, stay in your wheelhouse, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Big Baby, but just not for plus size toddler clothing.
That for one of your emails or, some, I don't know, some shaming site or something. I mean, hopefully, what more? There's got to be something more.
Yeah, that would be like the one level down from assholes.com. It's like,
Oh God, we're back at that.
You didn't quite make it to assholes.com, but you did make it to bigbaby.com.
All right. Drew, you're up next.
So, yeah, I mean, pretty decent list. I think I don't know why I really like I Know a Guy. Like I just love that domain. I think it's just an amazing brand. It immediately makes you kind of laugh inside. It's like, I know a guy, maybe it's only because I grew up in Rhode Island, which is like the mafia capital of the world. It's like, I know a guy. Handyman services wasn't what immediately came to my mind, but I love that name. Like, I really, really like it. I don't know. I kind of liked, I don't know, pools.org. I like that name because it's got huge search volume. But, like my first company, the biggest job that we did. So I launched a software business when I was in college, and I had like the dean of my school on my payroll. and he was doing all the programming, and we were building like blue collar. This is like the dawn of the consumer internet, right? So we were still doing like virtual basic databases, and we were building like fairly basic software for like blue collar businesses, like a landscaping company and a big pool servicing company, and all in like Eastern Long Island. And yeah, I mean, I just picture him like he services all of the pools from all of the insanely wealthy people and their enormous homes on Eastern Long Island. They're the largest pool service company in Long Island. And I can tell you that if I called him up right now and was like, yo, pools.com is on, pools.org is on, auction right now, he'd be like, well, I might take it for $1,000. And beyond that, I think he'd probably shake his head. I could be wrong. But it has enormous search. So I'm not sure it's an industry I'd want to sell into, because I think you're going to run into that small business mentality. But it's definitely, in theory, like one of the most valuable names here, but I think you'll have a hard time achieving that value. I really like biosafety, because that's just a hot topic right now. And, it's a whole industry. Like biosafety is an entire industry, may or may not be in the phone book, but it's definitely a solid name with a ton of different end users. I feel like we've talked about these new GTLDs. Am I crazy?
No,
we did, right?
We have. Yeah, but
we have, right?
Yeah, but I figured these guys with their, they're more interested in different GTLD,
yeah.
Different extensions. You're the .com guy, so that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like Online.university right now. I mean, there's one thing that we certainly know for sure: more and more people are going to be doing Online University. Whether or not it's going to be branded or it's going to be generic like this, whether or not new GTLDs are going to be continue, but whether they're going to thrive or not is all yet to be determined. But there definitely will be more Online university students, and at the right price, that's probably a great pickup. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I really like BigBaby.com too. I think Big Baby is a great brand. I don't know what it's for. But I think, God, I used to be such a big sports fanatic. I feel like we had a player on the Red Sox who was called Big Baby. Am I crazy?
I think you mean Big Poppy.
Big Pop, yeah, Big Pop.
No, for sure. Big Poppy, I don't forget. But didn't we also have a Big Baby?
No, but actually, I love it for sports in general. A fan site, a shit-talking site. It's great for sports. Yeah.
Sports betting on BigBaby.com.
Yeah. Wow. That or nipple clamps.
I mean, for $50, I would have bought that all day long.
Oh no, Glenn Davis. Glenn Davis, that's right. How can I forget that? Glenn Davis was Big Baby. That's right. That's right.
I don't know who Glenn Davis is.
Basketball player, NBA. I knew it, I recognized it, but I couldn't place it. But yeah, Glenn Davis, who, amazing basketball player. Used to be a Celtic. Back, I think when I worked for the Celtics. Let's see, when did this guy play?
Okay, you're up, Mark.
Okay, one, InDesign. Again, I know this from being in publishing. It's Adobe's design software, and so I think anyone who buys this would be out of their mind. They will be sued in 1 second after they own it. I mean,
InDesign?
InDesign is Adobe's design software that every person who designs magazines, books, I mean, you know, we had probably 6 licenses just in my office for it. I mean, they had a trademark for 20 years. It's only referred to as InDesign. And I love design names. I buy a number of them, and you know, on the surface, I love it. I would for sure buy it if I didn't know, but I don't think it's a survivable UDRP or trademark name. I do like Big Baby. I liked also, and I looked up. It's interesting. It's taken in 40 extensions, and there's 7 registered trademarks for it. Clothing line. I can't remember all of them, but so I thought, you know, that's a pretty versatile name. And, you know, that one is, there's probably one of these ones with the trademark who might buy it. And it's so versatile, you probably, you know, I don't think you would have much fear there. I like that. I also like Social Team. I just think that, again, has a lot of use, very broad, sounds good, flows off the tongue good. And then Tripcast is a cool name. There's a .co that has an app, so that could be a little problematic. And I do think, and like Thai Travel, I think like those names are going to be severely discounted now, and you can probably build a great travel portfolio, and in another 3-4 years, you know, you're gonna have some great names. And I like Cellstar, because I thought that you have for skincare, for, you know, kind of, you know, health coachy kind of stuff, could be related to cell phones. Again, I think things with the word star, you know, that's a good keyword. So those were my favorites in there.
Nice. Do you have any prices you want to throw out? What you would pay for it? What you would recommend for it?
You know, it's hard to know, because unless I was really researching whether I was going to buy one of these names, my process of going through the research would help determine how much I would pay in an auction. So, you know, I don't know. For Social Team, I might pay, you know, for me at wholesale, I wouldn't pay more than $1,000. I don't think there's a lot of people willing to give you 20 grand for that name, or 15 grand. There is a .org in Argentina that has about 100 employees that uses it for some kind of social. I tried to understand what they were saying, and it wasn't in their English version of their site also. And you know, like some of these social media companies, you can't really understand what it is they do. It's just buzzwords strung together.
Yeah.
But, you know, for $1,000, I would probably buy it, because they're a potential buyer, and they're based on what their site looked like, and, you know, they could be one, and plus it's so versatile. But once I'm getting above 500, I'm spending a lot of time to figure out how long I want to carry something, and what I think although I've been doing pretty well, all the names I've paid for over that amount, I have a pretty high percentage of selling. But, you know,
I have a theory on that, by the way.
On what?
So, because I thought of this by looking at my own portfolio, because the names that I paid super low prices, where I was like, why? How did I get that for $69? They never sold. They never sold. They sit there, they don't get inquiries, they just never sold. And then the names I overpay on, I end up selling in very short time frames. And it's very, very, very consistently that way. And basically what it comes down to is that if you're on the fence about something, or you're going to spend, you get slightly outside of your comfort zone on a name, you're going to give it a second look. You're going to do a little more due diligence. You're going to think about it a little extra hard, and you just make a better filter. You make a better filter on your investment. So if
I agree.
It's too easy, there's a reason usually.
Good insight. All right. Should we wrap it up or anything else on NameJet? We're good. All right. So let's take a break real quick and hear from our advertisers who support us in our educational mission.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at FT.com. That's EFTY, FT.com.
So, time for the third segment here, guys. This one, we're changing it up. You guys are so startup VC world. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about that a little bit. And then when we started getting on this call, it sounded like there was a lot going on in your backgrounds. So I'm not quite sure how to direct this, but let's just kind of freeform it and see. Drew, you're up first. What's happening? I don't know if you want to talk about, no, just go. Drew.
I don't know. What's happening? I mean, I went on a diatribe on the last DomainSherpa, so I won't do that.
No, what's happening in the tech innovation, startup world, VC world, particularly, you know, because there is somewhat of a tipping point. There's a lot of, you know, consumers adjusting to new behavior, businesses seeing they need to see new behavior. So what are you seeing on that end?
You know, I mean, I think as we alluded to at the beginning of the show, May has been a great month. We are even seeing some of the larger names starting to get more traction, and we closed quite a number of them. I don't think I can infer much more than that. You know, beyond what I've written on DNJournal this week and what I said in the last DomainSherpa show, I'm not sure I have a lot to add beyond that at this point. But I know what Mike's going to say, and I want to talk to Mike about that. So I'm gonna. What do they say? What do they say in Congress? I'm gonna
yield my time.
I'm gonna yield my time to the good gentleman from Illinois.
All right, he's not from Illinois, but.
Well, don't you live in Illinois? Where are you?
You moved to Jersey.
Me?
You're in Jersey. You're in dirty Jersey. Nobody's a good gentleman. Nobody in Jersey is a good gentleman, so I'll just give it to this guy.
I'm from Ohio. I'm from the Midwest, and I lived in the Twin Cities where Mark is. But wait, is it my turn?
Well, yeah. George just said it is.
Or it can be Mark. Who is a gentleman and lives in Minneapolis.
Well,
exactly.
I mean, I am dying to talk about this thing. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but I have been trying to keep it low profile. But now I'm going to start talking about it a lot more. And actually, so there's this.
You're like my wife. You start talking about things before you get to the point, so we know what you're talking about.
I'm building it up. I'm building it all up. Building the excitement.
You got to give us a thread to pull on before you go on your diatribe.
This is gonna change domaining forever. I believe it. Okay, that's okay. Now I can build it up a little more. You know, wait for it. But so I had heard about Handshake, handshake.org. If you want to go to it's this project. It's a blockchain project. It's basically DNS on a blockchain, and I'd heard about it a while ago, like a year or two ago on Hacker News, and you know, it was interesting, but I kind of just I'd heard of some other similar things like ENS and some other things, so I just kind of forgot about it. But when I was at NamesCon, I met a guy there, Carson, he's the CEO of Namebase.io, and I talked to him a lot about it, and I realized that it was built in a very smart way. And one of the guys who created it who designed the Lightning Network on Bitcoin, but it's built in a really smart way, and I think it has a ton of potential. And the more I dig into it, the more excited I get about it. And so yeah, we're going to be launching at Gateway.io a project that will be live on Thursday or Friday. And so anyway, what Handshake does is so right now the root zone of the internet, the root zone of the domain name system is like, I don't know, it's like 7 servers or something. It's managed by ICANN, okay? And so this is like .com, .org, you know, when they're looked up in the DNS, you know, it goes to these root zones. So Handshake is, it's replacing those root zones with a blockchain. So it's decentralized, and it opens up, it's really interesting. It makes, in my opinion, it makes things more secure. It makes more decentralized. It opens up freedom, innovation, and stuff. So one thing that domainers can think about it, though, is that it opens up the TLD space where anybody can get a TLD. So, so yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm probably jumping back and forth, but if you want to go to, so there's a lot of different Handshake domains. Like we got .txt. We're going to launch that on gateway.io, where you can buy .txt domains. Now, in order to go to a .txt domain, you can't just go to it right now because it's using the legacy internet root servers. So you would need a resolver. You need to change a setting on your computer, which makes it kind of hard. You know, it's kind of difficult to do that, but eventually the idea is that it'll become easier and easier. But the cool thing is once you make that change, you still can view the whole internet as this, you know, everything works as it does now. .com, everything works, but you also get these new TLDs like .txt, and anybody can register new TLDs, and they're a lot cheaper. You know, it's almost like buying a .com, now. It's just anybody can get a TLD. And so it opens up a whole, like, it opens up, yeah, the whole TLD space. So
is that the I'm suspecting that's not the primary purpose, even though you're geeking out on it.
The primary purpose is, you know, I think the primary purpose is security and decentralization. Like right now, do you really own, like, Drew, do you own Pegasus.com? You know, you don't. You're renting it. You know, like, who can take it away at any time? The registry can take it away just like that, or a registrar can take it away, you know? So like, it's, and that does happen in some cases to some businesses. They just get their domain taken away and it ruins their business. So with this, you know, if you own
it's a slippery slope, though. It's a very tricky issue. Very tricky issue that you have a lot of smart people that are really good at engineering, but they're not good at thinking through the social contracts that exist in these systems. And you know, since you and I spoke about this last week, and I'm going to let you continue, I just want to talk about this one point. I'm not sure that a fully decentralized, immutable DNS is necessarily a good thing. Even though I am a complete free market libertarian capitalist, I do believe that there does have to be, you know, a kill switch. You know, there's got to be, like, somebody's selling child porn on a dot whatever, right? That is, nobody can take that domain away. Nobody can shut it down. They've got to host it on a server they own. That's a problem. Like, we really can't let that happen. So that's where I, you know, and then I come back to this contrarian thing. You know, and then I come back on the same note, and I think, well, isn't that kind of also the same argument for Bitcoin, right? Well, we have to be able to stop some of those transactions. We can't have people sending money to terrorists, and I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. Not that people should send money to terrorists. That's clearly not good. But that somebody should be able to tell me where I can send my money. But sending my money to somebody the government doesn't approve of is a victimless crime. Selling things or posting things on the internet that are harmful to other people is,
well, they could still be they could still be prosecuted. You could, like, the government.
No, because you have no way of identifying who it is, right? And you have no way of taking it down, even if you do. identify who it is.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
yeah. I mean, I guess my viewpoint, it's kind of like an argument. I mean, it's like like the FDA or something. Are they saving, people say they are saving a lot of lives because they go through all this rigorous testing process. And then other people are saying they are, they're actually not.
The most corrupt organization in the face of the planet.
They're doing a lot more harm.
I'll go that way. I'll go that way.
So anyway, I think it's a tool. This tool is gonna. I mean, I've looked at. A lot of people are not going to get it. A lot of people are not going to think it's valuable. It's just like Bitcoin. A lot of people are. But I feel like this is the future, and people should. I'm just people listening. Like, this is going to change things up. Domain names are digital assets, and I think being on a blockchain makes so much more sense for a digital asset because it's programmable. You can program all the stuff about it can be completely programmed, and automatic. And
well, hold on. Tell me why that can't be done now on the existing DNS. It's fully programmatic.
Well, like escrow, like an escrow transaction that could be,
fully possible. It requires existing players to play the game.
Yeah, it requires trust in like a registrar also and a registry.
Doesn't necessarily require trust. It just requires the players to play the game. So if you have two registrars that say we will create, isn't that in essence that's what the fast transfer services go to, right? If you sell a domain through Rosener, they have the ability to do fast transfer and auto pull it in the same moment that sale goes through. They can just payment goes through, that domain comes out your account. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to unlock it. That domain is fully locked in your account, and then it's suddenly just gone out of your account because the players opted in. So as long as they opt in, they say, okay, we will allow this. You can programmatically do escrow on the existing DNS. Can be done, but you need the parties.
It's not fully automated. It's not like completely fully like with Bitcoin, if I say if domains were a digital asset and I send Bitcoin, the domain comes, there's no question. The domain is going to come. Like I send payment, the domain's going to come to me. There's no question at all. But like with the existing system, I pay by credit card. I could do a chargeback, like the domain, who knows? There's like a lot of points of
Well, but hold on, that's a problem on the payment side. That's not a problem on the DNS side.
Well, even the DNS side too. I mean,
because the payment side, you could just say, well, as whatever marketplace or registrar, we're only going to accept Bitcoin, and so there's no chargebacks, right? So that's a payment problem. That's not relevant to the problem addressed by NameJet. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm giving you a hard time because I think it is an important topic, and I want to flush it out. And you're the guy I want to flush it out with. So I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm giving you a hard time. I'm pushing on the cracks that I see.
Yeah,
but that's not a valid point because that's payments are totally ancillary to that. It's not the escrow thing. You know better than I do because you literally do this. But I would say I believe it is fully possible with the existing technology to create fully automated escrow.
Yeah, you can make it automated.
However, the parties have to agree.
Yeah.
But I do think where Namebase has, continue.
Well, anyway, I think this is going to shake things up. Like, I really do believe that this is going to, when they open up, when this opens up, like, it's going to make things, like, first of all, that you have to change this setting on your computer. That's going to make things difficult. So it has to be 10 times better than the current system. Like, it has to be 10 times better for people to be willing to do that. And once enough people do that, then it'll be easier. So you won't even have to change a setting on your computer eventually. Like, this is going to happen over time. But I do believe it's 10 times better. I do believe it's at least 10 times better. And that there's going to be some killer apps built on this. Like, once you have your own TLD, you can build an app on the whole TLD. We're doing it right now. Like, we have .alias. We're going to launch .alias in like a few weeks, or like 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. But it's going to be a whole app built on a TLD.
And what's it going to do?
This is what I thought people should have done with the new TLDs. Like,
but see, the problem
blew my mind. Like
yeah,
there was one that was so obvious. The first attempt at this was the dot name. Was dot name that did like it was like a Rolodex card. It was like there was a whole app, so you couldn't just like buy a domain and then do whatever you want with it. There was a framework. So I think it wasn't dot name. It was.
We'll see.
Oh, come on. .tel. It was .tel.
Yeah.
.tel.
Yeah.
And you literally had your own. It was like a Rolodex card. So you get, if I had, Andrew.tel, my Andrew.tel could have my photo and have my, it was all like programmatic. So like in my registrar account, I didn't have to create a website. It was all an app. It was a built-in application to the .tel registry, but it just never got traction. I actually thought that was a very valuable use of a new TLD, to build an app into the TLD that is ubiquitous for all domains registered on that TLD. And sure, it presents constraints, but if you don't want those constraints, go get another TLD. Like, and I thought that was like great. Like, I can have Andrew.tel, and you can go there and click on my Skype, and it'll Skype me. You can click on my phone number, and it'll call me. You can click on my email address and it'll email me. Like, and I don't have to go build a website. I don't have to pay for hosting. I just pay my renewal fee for this domain, and in my registrar account, I can literally go in there. And then I thought about it that, like, oh, wait, when I move, I can just go up. I should be able to just go update my .tel, and then that like auto broadcast to the post office and all my services and blah, 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 right? Like, when they launched .tel, these are the things that were going through my mind. I thought, wow, that's a great idea. Never went anywhere. And I think they even eventually, they killed it. I think they killed the whole app part of it. And now anybody, it's probably just another spam address now.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, .tel had to.
I apologize, .tel, if you're still a legitimate entity, but I hardly knew you. So,
so Mike, I want to hear two things. What's
hold on.
Oh, okay.
My point is that that's been done, and I agree, it's a very valuable use case, and maybe .tel was just too early, but what makes .alias better than .tel?
Well, I hope it's going to be good. I mean, we'll see. But the reason I think that this is better is because the innovation that's going to come. Because right now, to get a TLD, you have to pay $185,000 non-refundable application fee plus whatever other fees. Like, you got to do all that, and you got to fill out all this paperwork. You got to do all this crap. So like, what kind of innovation can you do? It really limits the innovation that's going to be done on TLD. It's like way limited. It takes so long to get a TLD. So now when everybody can register a TLD, just as they can register a .com, the innovation around them is going to explode, I think. And that will create some that make it so that people will go in and change the setting, because it'll be so compelling to go to use these TLDs. I mean, .alias, I don't know if it's going to be great. It's just an idea I had. It's like, .alias, what it's going to do is like, bit.ly, a URL shortener. You can, you type in your URL and it gives you bit.ly/key. Well, this is going to be, you type in a URL and it gives you key.alias. And that'll be free. That'll be a free domain you get that'll last like a week or whatever. But you can upgrade. You can pay like, I don't know, $50 for a year, and you can get like pizza.alias. And then that will all redirect to like pizzahut.com or whatever. And so it combines like bit.ly plus domain registration, but I don't even want it just to limit it to URL aliases. Like, I want you to be able to like be able to do a Bitcoin address pay, like you could pay to Drew.alias or Mark.alias, you could send payment to. And so I want it to be like a general
It could be
purpose.
like a Bitcoin mixer.
Yeah, so it's like a general purpose aliasing service built on.
I like that. Send it to Bitcoin.alias, and then you don't need to know the address that it's actually going to, the actual public key.
Yeah, but you can. And the cool thing is, yeah, you can check it all out in the TXT records of the domain. So before you click on a link like a Drew.alias, if you want to see where it's going, you can look at the TXT and you could see exactly where it's going before you click on it.
Can you blind that? You should offer like a TXT blind, like privacy.
Maybe.
And then it blinds the $99 will blind your the actual beneficiary address.
Maybe.
You have a lot up your sleeve, Mike. How do you find time for all of that?
Well, yeah, that actually, it's, so I brought on a partner for Park.io like a year ago, Steve Webb, and he is really doing a great job. I mean, I couldn't be more happy with, and he's helping out so much. So that's why.
Is Steve in Texas?
Yeah.
Oh man, I know his David. His father David is an amazing guy. I don't know. I've spoken to Steve a couple times on the phone.
Really?
But his father is an amazing guy. Fortunately, I think he's got some serious health issues right now. I bought a lot of domains from him, and I've sold some domains for him. He's a great. I'm assuming it's the same guy. If it is, great guy, great family, just good people.
Yeah, he's helped out a ton. So yeah, we've had more time for project. And yeah, another thing, we're adding .co to Park.io and .org, and some other things. He did a lot with that. I mean, he did all that. So yeah.
So Park.io, what are the TLDs you can currently buy there at expired auction?
There's a lot now.
Or just about how many or something.
Right now, well, it looks like there are like 15 or so, but
and you're adding .co, .org, and what else did you say?
.co, .org. What else? I forget. I forget what it is, but yeah, the big one is .co. I know a lot of people have been asking for that, so that I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, big movement. You want to keep talking, or what is it? Are you going to yield the floor?
Yeah, I could go on and on and on. Maybe we should do another show about this sometime. But yeah, I'll yield to Mark.
Yeah, I think we should do another show about it. But anyway, all right, Mark.
I will say. So hold on, before Mark jumps in, I just will say, Mike and I chatted about this briefly last week. And so I did spend some time going through, and I agree. I think it has legs. I think it's super interesting. I definitely see some holes that need answers, but they don't need answers today. I think you're right. I think it creates innovation around the right of the dot, which is something that is desperately needed. And, I mean, that's what Donuts was kind of all about, especially Paul. Unfortunately, Paul's not really there now. It's private equity, so it's a different game. But, they were really pushing for people to figure out what else can you do with these TLDs, right? It's because it's not just about websites and email addresses, right? Like this is part of my thesis, is that there is literally, like, we haven't even scratched the surface of the utility value of these domain names, and even more so a TLD. And I think Amazon's got some really exciting stuff they'll probably roll out on some of their TLDs. I liked what Google, I think we talked about it on here once, that Google has .new, and I thought they did something pretty clever where if you say like, doc.new, and it'll just bring you to a brand new Google Doc, like a Google Word doc type of thing, or spreadsheet. I think spreadsheet.new, it'll bring you to a new, give you a new open up, Google Sheets or whatever. And they opened up a program where you can apply for a .new, but they won't just give it to anybody. You have to actually show, like, you know, it's a pretty in-depth application. You say, okay, this is the idea, and it has to, when somebody enters that domain, it has to actually perform a web app action. So it actually has to trigger a performance. And so I think there's going to be some really cool use cases for that. But anyway, so the point is just that I do agree with your sort of initial excitement about Namebase and Handshake. But I also will say that the only reason I even give it a second thought is that they were very smart to include the existing name infrastructure into their root, right? If they didn't include the like block off the .coms and the .nets and the, you know, it would have been a zero. And so the fact that they injected the root into their root is critical. I'm curious what they'll do though when the next round of new TLDs rolls out on the legacy root, and then those TLDs are already taken on the Namebase root. Now you've got a serious conflict that will make one or the other non-viable. And then when that happens, then you've got a problem. So I'm not sure how they'll play that out. Although, yeah, I don't know. I do have some thoughts, but I'm not going to go there now. Sorry, Mark?
Well, I'm going to say, as we flirt with almost 2 complete hours on this show right now, I doubt anyone is going to hear anything that I'm saying. So I'm probably just...
You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked.
I'm telling you, I get so much feedback from people. Everybody is so bored right now that they'll even listen to you, Mark.
Well, good point. So outside of my domain life, I have a lot of great stuff happening. My company, DropCap, manages foreign language rights for US publishers, and we've started 2 years ago, and we've grown quite, you know, we've been growing, you know, we used to manage about 800 titles, now we're up to about 15,000 titles. And our whole strategy in doing it was that rights is a part of publishing that is really antiquated. They were mostly sold at international book fairs. Like, for example, we have a booth and the whole thing at the Frankfurt Book Fair, which has 7,500 exhibitors. You know how much space you need for 7,500 exhibitors, and how many pallets of books are sent? You know, we would send, just in our booth alone, we had 500 books from our publishers. And when people would come to buy rights, and this was it could be at Simon & Schuster, they would come in and say, I need a kid's book about elephants. They pull out a binder like this, and they're paging through. And, you know, obviously we had known about this in being in the publishing business, and this is a totally different slice of it, and technology had never really touched it. And our background was in creating publishing software. So we partnered up with a literary agent, combined her business, started a new one, and we foresaw a day when rights would not be sold so clunky. And we had started building this software that managed the rights, it pitched rights, and all of our publishers who are in it are seeing, you know, huge increases in the amount of sales, and selling rights it's each transaction itself is not too big, couple $1,000 plus royalties, but, you know, they're relatively small. So you need to do them very expeditiously and move them through, and it's free money for the publishers, so they love it. Very few publishers publish a book thinking about, you know, I'm going to sell the rights to a Korean publisher and I'm going to make this. And what has happened with the coronavirus is all the major book fairs, of course, were immediately canceled. And so many people depended on those to sell rights. And all of a sudden, there we were as one of the, and it was a coincidence, you know, again, I would rather not have the coronavirus and not be, and, you know, just doing what we're doing without it. But that created an opportunity for us where all of a sudden we're kind of way ahead of anyone else doing it. And that has sparked a lot of interest in what we're doing. And as soon as the book fair got canceled, I mean, we were supposed to be in Bologna, Italy in April 5th. And as soon as that got canceled, we immediately created our own virtual book fair with all of our buyers who were coming to meet with us in the booth. And so, people have heard about that. It has really helped us grow that way. It has spurred, a lot of outside interest from people who, and I think, Drew, you might have talked about this in that DNJournal article. I think it was you that was saying all the virus did was speed up things that were already happening.
Yeah, 100%.
And this is an exact case.
Yeah.
Where we're living it right now, where we were doing something that was going to, in 5 years from now, nobody would believe. And this wasn't that book fair to go away.
That's exactly what I said. It took 5 years, compressed it into a couple of months.
And so it's been, very exciting. And I've spent, it's kind of hard to do. I've spent way less time domaining in the last 2-3 months because this has just been so intense. And it's only so many hours in the day and so much creativity you can expend on, but it's a really interesting time, and it's exciting to be in. So that's my real big news that's happening, and it's great, and I hope it can continue, and we're pretty excited about it. So that's awesome. I just got to say, while we're on the show, I'm just about to sell a name to one of the hot restaurateurs in Nashville, who we were talking right before the tornado took out Nashville, which was a month before COVID. He was about to buy a name, and his restaurant got destroyed by a tornado. And the next day emailed me and said he was starting a new restaurant, and he was like, well, I can't do it. We're going through the rubble. And he just emailed me and said, that restaurant's done. Between that and COVID, I'm starting a new. I'd like to buy the name. And it's one of my favorite names. And I always, if it's a restaurant and I'm communicating, I always give them an affordable price with a gift certificate for myself. So when I go there, nice. I'm gonna get a free meal. The name is punkwalk.com.
Nice.
Cool play.
Yeah. So that just happened while we were on the show. So
you gonna say a price or how?
Oh, you know what? He just said let's pick it up, but I can't remember. I'm gonna guess it was probably a couple thousand. I mean, startup restaurants aren't. They only have so much money they're
not spending a ton of money.
It's $1,500 to $2,000.
Fun domain. I like it.
But it's a great. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna eat like a king someday when travel is back. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Congrats. Yeah.
Thanks.
So I just want to make a comment that, you gave that, rightfully so, that preclude to the excitement by saying, oh, I wish, COVID wasn't here. And I see everybody doing that, right? And it's like, obviously none of us wish COVID was here, but I have a little bit of a problem with people that are like, I had somebody call me out on social media because I said something that was positive, and they were like, you don't need to gloat when everybody's, losing jobs. And I was like, whatever. I don't even get into what I said there. But the point was, with your situation, it's like, I think we need to be highlighting the things that are positive. We need to be celebrating the people that have success. Because if everybody's just wallowing in their freaking misery, what I can tell you is that our misery is going to be a lot worse than it is. So everybody needs to sort of just get off the damn high horse. Everybody needs to stop with their virtue signaling of every form and just give a clap. Like, yeah, dude, this thing fell in your lap. It's going to make your business fly. That was a genius idea. You were there at the right time. And, it's like, you weren't lucky. You were well prepared. It was like,
I agree.
And that's it. That's it. And so, well done. Well done. I don't think there's any need to discount your success with you know, oh, I'm so sorry that there's this COVID thing. Like, it goes without saying, we're all sorry, but I think it's great that everybody on this show right now is experiencing, you know, some, let's say, outsized success in this environment. And I personally think that that's awesome.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I think, you know,
agreed.
it's important this time, like Mark, you said there are only so many hours for creativity. And the problem is in our normal world, we're busy with other things. And this is a real time to use for creativity, for restructuring, for trimming the fat. You make what you will of the situation you're in. And I think in particular with the growth that we're seeing right now and how that's been compacted, like Drew said, in this tech space or digitalization space, so to speak, there are going to come, I think, some tremendous new innovations. And I'm really excited for what each of you are working on and for what else we're going to see that comes out of this. So on that note, thank you to each of you for being here, and we'll see you all next time, okay?
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.